I would be understating if I were to say it was just magical. Magical would be an understatement to describe this experience to Kumbh Mela. Many of you know Kumbh Mela is such a magical event. It borderlines uh, incapability of humans to express what magic and mysticism feels like in the midst of 640 million people. I mean, it is wild, wildly magical and mystical. So I didn't have a plan to come to this place. I was going back and forth whether to go or not. And then I started to dig a little deeper about uh, the significance of this festival, of this gathering. So, and the more I read about it, the more I was like, no, I have to go, I have to go. And then I was thinking, I kept looking at flights, and the flights were like humongous. I mean, they were just so expensive, and it was not possible. So then I started to kind of give up on the idea that I would go to Kumbh Mela. But something kept pulling me harder and harder. And a friend of mine said, hey, I work for Delta. I could get you on a Delta flight. And I said, how do you do that? He says, don't worry about it. I could get you on a Delta flight for 40 bucks or something like that. And I said, bring it on. I'm ready. And I literally packed my bags in 2 hours. And he put me on a flight. That's how wild things happen sometimes around my life. I just go with the flow. 2 hours, I packed and I went to the airport and I lucked out and they put me on a good seat. And I went on a flight for 15 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know why we took that route, but he flew me through Korea, through South Korea. So I flew in from Atlanta to South Korea, 15 hours and 50 minutes, almost 16 hours, and then a few hours layover, and then another 8.5 hours to Delhi. And because I came a little early before Kumbh Mela, before Shivaratri, then this guy who was organizing this big Kirtan festival in this transit city for the Northeast Mountains, they call the Seven Sisters. There's seven northeastern states that are connecting to Nepal and Tibet. They're called the Seven Sisters, and there's a junction city called Siliguri. And so they were organizing this big Kirtan Mela, and I land in Delhi. He's like, Veda, I heard you're in India. We want you to come to this festival. Before I could even buy my next ticket, he had bought me a ticket, and yeah, I couldn't say no. I mean, this man already bought me a ticket. And I had no idea. So I landed in Delhi. He sends me a ticket on my text message. And then I'm on a flight to Siliguri for the festival. And we had this ecstatic Kirtan festival. It's one of the most ecstatic Kirtan festivals I've ever attended. And it was strictly because it was just wild. It was not mellow at all. It was just like people were dancing and dancing for 8 hours nonstop. And I was like, what is this? I've attended and seen many Kirtan festivals. People are mellow, they start slow and gradually the tempo rises. But these guys were just like, they were high on something. And I wasn't quite sure what they were high on. I just assumed that they were high on Kirtan because they all look clean. They didn't look grungy and they didn't look, so it was just wild. And they put me on the schedule at a prime time spot, and I wasn't sure what to do with it. And so we just had 2 days of like ecstatic kirtan. dancing for like 8 hours straight. People were just nonstop. Because the first 2 hours were like a little mellow. Wasn't really mellow, but somewhat mellow. And the rest of the time it was just wild, ecstatic kirtan. I think someone shared a video on the Instagram feed. If you haven't seen it, even I went crazy. So I started to dance. I don't know if you have seen it. If you haven't, it may be somewhere still around. I started to go crazy. I was like, if everyone's gonna dance, I might as well dance too. So I'm not a good dancer, but we had a blast. So this was the day before Shivaratri. And then so we catch a flight from Siliguri to this place called Prayagraj. It's called the King of Places of Pilgrimage. This is where there is a confluence of 3 rivers. It's extremely sacred because every, I think it's 4 years or 8 years or every 12 years. I don't remember it right now because I'm still a little high from this experience. And, but anyway, they have every 6 years or 12 years. I know it's 12 years. So they have this gathering of sages and saints. Oh, every 4 years. Thank you, Sutta. So they have a gathering of sages that just come. And this gathering was an occasion of 144-year cosmic constellation of the planets, where it's geared towards spiritual progress and enlightenment. So I just couldn't miss it. So when we went there, some of you may have seen some of the videos that we have taken. You know, I kept getting requests, Nitai, take some videos, take some videos. So I just took my phone and gave it to some person to make sure that it didn't drop it in the Ganga, and took some videos and walking around, took some videos to share it with Nitai so I could take you all on a journey with me. What inspired me really deeply was the messages I got when I was seeing it because we live right on the bank of the Yamuna in this beautiful place, and everything, the prices were really high. But we found such an exotic location right next on the bank of the Yamuna River. And they had these boats because they barricaded 25-mile radius of that sacred location of the confluence of the 3 rivers. And it was just like, you got to walk minimum 25 miles. Or you can be smart and get on a boat and take a boat ride to that sacred location. And I was like, no, I'm not going to walk 25 miles. I'm going to get a hand-rowing boat. And that's the only boats that were allowed. There were literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boats. And people were rowing the boats to that location. And the arrangement that they made is something that I have never seen in my life. How they hosted 640 million people in 25-mile radius in 28 days. And they had these tents that were like VIP, 5-star tents. Air-conditioned trailer showers and toilets. It was like from that to just porta potties. It was just really incredible arrangement. And it seemed like nobody felt any difficulty, even though there were 640 million people. That is more than the whole population of the United States and Mexico. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people in this place. And they all had one intention. And that intention that everyone had was to let go and receive. Letting go and receive. That was the emotion that 640 million people came with. Imagine that. It was wild to think about that. So when I kept meditating on it and I'm watching these boats, hundreds of boats, and everyone is chanting, Har Har Mahadev, Har Har Mahadev. It was just calling out for Lord Shiva because it was his birthday. And they were chanting Ganga Maya, songs of Ganga Devi, Yamuna Devi, Saraswati Devi. Those are the three sacred rivers in India, the three most sacred rivers in India. And they were all meeting together. Why were they meeting together? Because there was a nectar that dropped for all the living entities at the confluence of these three rivers. This is the potion of immortality. That if you take bath and take a dip in that river at the confluence of these three rivers, in this 144th year of cosmic universal constellation to enable your spiritual success, it was just, you just can't beat it. It was just too much. People are just bathing and crying. Like, what's up with this? People were just happy and crying and tears of love and joy and embracing each other and drowning each other in the water and picking each other up. It's just, how do you explain that? And millions of people, it's not just one person, millions of people at the same time. They're taking their turns and going around. I was really worried because some people scared me. They said, Veda, there's no good toilet arrangements, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? So I had this thing in my heart that maybe, what if there's not a toilet and what'll happen? So I try to starve myself so that I don't have to use the toilet. But when you go there, it's such an incredible arrangement to serve all the pilgrims. Such an incredible arrangement. So, in conclusion, I was so inspired that I wrote to all of you in the groups and I said, hey, please share with me what's in your heart. Share with me. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to let go? Some of you wrote beautiful messages. I got to sit in the middle of the three rivers with my phone in my hand, reading all the messages to the three rivers. So I said, okay, this is a message from Durga Devi. Oh, three goddesses. Oh, Lord Shiva, I hope you're listening. So I read the message and then I read the next message. So it took me a long time to go through a lot of messages. And I felt so good. I felt that these three goddesses, they were actually listening in my heart. And the water in these three rivers, it was so charged because imagine 640 million people with pure intention of letting go and to receive. Let go and to receive. That energy, I felt like the water was electric. Like you could feel, it was like, the water was a little chilly, but you could feel like there was some sort of an electric shock coming through you, but not a shock that would zap you, but it was like a shock that was very soothing, very comforting. So I literally stayed in that water for I don't know how many hours. I was on my knees, on my feet, just like reading and praying and chanting mantras and singing and trying to be goofy. I was spraying everybody with water and everybody was spraying everybody with water and nobody was complaining. You just go to the strangers and just like sprinkle water on them and they would just give you a big smile. It was just, I was like, what world is this? And this is what it feels like when you're literally sitting in the lap of three mothers at the same time. So most of you have experienced what it is to be in the lap of one mother at one time. Imagine three mothers that love you at the same time. It was pretty wild. And so that was the whole experience. So I did a special puja. I brought arati trays from the temple here, a big arati tray. You may have seen, Nita has not shared the videos yet. You may see it. A big lamp representing each and every one of your hearts. So light up those hearts and offered it to the Divine Mothers and to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the god of transformation, the energy of transformation. And so, and then they gave me baskets of flour they brought with me. So I just kept offering flowers to the mothers, to Lord Shiva on behalf of all of you, offering lamps and offering incense and offering milk. So this is how you're supposed to pray at this location, just to let the mom know, hey mom, I got you some flowers, I got you some milk, I got you some incense, and I'm here to bring my whole family from all over the world who are not here to give them rest in your lap. So this was the whole ceremony. I felt, I was very emotional and very teary because some of you wrote such beautiful love notes to her, and some of you sent me a lot of painful notes for her. So it was a lot of beautiful notes that I could read to her. And as I was reading, I was literally thinking of you and offering your heart and your emotions to the three mothers. So this was my trip. And then I was like, okay, I've done this. I'm in India. Like, I gotta take advantage of this. So I just decided I'm gonna fly to Mayapur. So I came to Mayapur because they had a big Kirtan Mela here, just thousands of people chanting and dancing. I'm like, okay. In the Colombian retreat, we had a slogan. It's called Cantar y Bailar, which means singing and dancing. So that was the slogan. So I carried that slogan with me, and Vrindavan came with me. So we were just singing and dancing, and we had very, very ecstatic Kirtan festival here. And it's gonna be over. Today's the last day, but I had to be with all of you. So I said, okay, I gotta be with my family now. So this is an updated report of what I have been up to for the last few days that I'm in India. And thank you, cantar y bailar. Okay, there we go. I am learning Spanish. So today's topic, we don't have too much time, but I want to share with you what is in my heart about this topic. I wanted to share it last week, but I wanted to share with you how important it is to engage in this practice of Buddhi Yoga as a key to dealing with, what is our topic, Keshavi? I just want to make sure that I'm on track.
The art of perspective.
The art of
Perspective.
Last week we talked about the topic without you, so we would love to hear your thoughts on it.
So what was the topic?
The art of perspective.
The art of perspective, yes. I think it was a bigger topic, but I'll work with that. So I was just meditating on, most of you have read the Gita. If you have not, I highly recommend all of you to read it and get it, because it's a dialogue between two incredible friends. And this dialogue is so deep that it will actually penetrate the deepest part of your existence. And that's why I recommend it. And I may be quoting from the Gita and other yoga texts as well. The part that I want to quote today is the fact that Arjuna, the friend, one of the friends, and Krishna, the other friend, they're in a very, very tricky situation. It's the tricky situation that we all go through in our lives, where Arjuna is in a situation where his relatives want him killed. They want to destroy him. They want to finish him off. They want his kingdom. They want his wife. They want his possessions. They want his reputation. They want to take everything away from him. And he has some attachment to it, rightfully. And his friend Krishna is sitting here listening to Arjuna on why he does not want to fight for his rights. I mean, it's insane. You got to fight for your rights. And Arjuna decides, no, there's a better thing to do than to fight for your right. And so this dialogue goes a little deep where Krishna tells Arjuna, you know, I have heard all of your arguments why you don't want to fight for your rights. You gave incredible logical arguments on why you don't want to fight for your rights. But whose right is it that you have? And what is that? So after Arjuna's all his arguments, he lost. He was like, okay, you're not saying anything. Are you going to say something? Have you ever had friendships where you just talk, and you're hoping that they would say something, but they don't say anything because you never give them a chance to speak? So this is what happens. So Arjuna says, oh, Krishna, please help me out. I want to hear what you have to say. And I surrender to you as a friend to guide me through this situation. So Krishna explains this art of Buddhi Yoga, of connecting through intelligence. Oftentimes, bhakti is perceived as a practice of nothing but pure emotion. But Krishna says, no, it's actually intelligence with emotion. And intelligence with emotion comes with a particular process on how to go about it. And the process of that is very, very clearly explained by Krishna to Arjuna. And why is he giving such detailed information? Because Arjuna asks, and Krishna explains it all in detail. But why does he give such granular details of how to deal with the situations? So he explains a very, very beautiful process, which I'll share with you. But before I share that with you, I want to tell you a story to get you a little bit more into the story by telling you another story. And this is a story of Buddha. Most of you know Buddha, Buddhists. So Buddha had a student, had a person come up to him and said, hey, I want you to guide me. I want you to share your knowledge and I want you to share your secret with me. And Buddha said, no, I don't want to share anything with you. And this man obviously was thinking, why not? You know, I'm seeking, I want to learn. So I would really, really love it if you would share it with me. What do you need? For? Oh, it should be in the room. Check in this big bag also. Sorry, they're looking for the keys to the room. And the student said, I promise you, I want to listen. I want to be educated. I want to know. And so this Buddha explains to the student, he says, I want to tell you a story. It's a very common thing amongst teachers. They tell you stories. He said, you want to hear, but hearing has, oh, my internet is unstable. Can you all hear me? He tells the story of a teacher explaining, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you all frozen?
Yeah, we see
We
you.
can hear you.
We hear you.
Okay. So this Buddha tells this person a story of a pot. He said, there's a pot. Some people listen And there's 4 categories of listeners. There's a pot, you know, a clay earthen pot, you come to India, or any pot. There's a pot that is upside down. You understand that? And there's a pot with a hole in it. And there's a pot that is full. And there's a pot that is empty and open. And as he said, out of this 4 categories of pots, you are pot number 3. I know this word pot, you may think your mind might go somewhere else, you know. Pot, I mean a vessel. So he said, you are vessel number 3. What is vessel number 3? Let's go from pot number 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you'll know why he said you're vessel number 3. He said pot 1 is upside down. The pot is empty inside, but you put it upside down. When you put a pot upside down, what happens is nothing can go inside. And then the pot number 2 is the pot the vessel is facing up, is open, but it has holes in it. So whatever you put in the pot, it just goes out through the holes. So nothing can be retained inside the pot. And pot number 3 is there, but the pot is completely full with so much stuff, so much things. There's no room for anything else. The accumulation of things is already, there's nothing to be stored in that space. And pot number 4 is a pot that is completely open, no cracks, no holes, nothing inside, and open and available to receive. Why am I telling you this story? Because this Kumbh Mela is a pot. Kumbha means a pot. Mela means a gathering. So it's a gathering where everyone wants to take something from the pot or put something into the pot. So this story is a story of receiving, having the ability to receive inside. So when we ourselves are upside down, there's no room for anything to go into our being. We are vessels, so nothing can be poured inside. The second pot is a pot that has holes in it. That means we have too many flaws, too many other distractions, too many other inclinations and tendencies that doesn't allow for whatever content that needs to go inside or is placed inside, it doesn't remain inside. It just seeps right through the holes. It's like carrying water with a hole in the pot. So if we are a vessel and we have, sometimes you may use the word traumas or, you know, previous programming and whatnot, those are holes in our existence that take the energy out from what is inside the pot. We are the vessel, and that vessel is continuously being leaked out. Energy is being leaked out. So that is part number 2. And part number 3 is when we have our life is filled with non-stop hankerings and lamentations. That's why in Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, to his friend Arjuna, he says, na sochati, na kankshati. Someone who has been free from hankerings and lamentations. So our life, we always have hankerings and lamentations. We're thinking about things that we have missed out, and we're hankering for things that we want in life. These are the continuous emotions that are in absolute accumulation and recycled in this pot. And this pot is full. And so therefore nothing can go inside. So, and the 4th part is when we actually allow ourselves to receive. We are this beautiful vessel. We allow ourselves to receive the divine grace in our lives. So this is the story that Buddha tells the student that wants to come to listen and learn from him, because he said, this is your part number 3. And this is what we're going to discuss about. What is part number 3? That means we are full of something. And what is that something? So this is where we study in the yoga text. I will give it to you in 4 different categories. Let me see how are we doing with time. I have 15, 20, 10 minutes. Let me see if I can rush you through in 10 minutes. Okay, we all understand the laws of karma, that whatever happens in our life, we say, hey, it's just your karma. Okay, we have come into this world with various different karmas, but let's break down what that karma looks like. So in the yoga text, we study about this principle of samskaras. Samskaras are conditioned nature that we are born with. And those are conditioned nature that we have brought with us from our previous lifetimes. And those are called samskaras, are strong impressions that are not just subconscious, that are unconscious laying in our existence. So all the desires that you have accumulated in God knows how many lifetimes and how many years in this life, all those conditioned nature that you have, that is called a samskara or an impression. And those samskaras are difficult to access. And then that samskara from there comes a little bit more accessible to us, are called the vasanas. Vasana means desires or certain inclinations or tendencies that we have. And those are accessible to us. Vasana means desires. We have so many desires. It can also be loosely translated as desires. And they are accessible to us when we say, for example, you go see an astrologer and you ask him what is happening with you. What they're basically saying is that they're able to, based on the planets that you're born under, they're able to tell you what vasanas, what desires are prominent in your existence. They don't predict your future, but they give you a guide map or a road map to what are dominant desires and dominant energy impulses and forces within you that is propelling you to act in a certain way. And those are called vasanas, or desires that are guiding you to a certain objective, certain goal in life, certain, people have certain drives. What drives you are the vasanas, are those desires. And they are more accessible to you than the samskaras, because those are subconscious. Samskaras are unconscious. Vasanas are subconscious. So they're accessible to us. I'm rushing. And then the third level we have are something called the vrittis. The vritti, in Patanjali, you study the vrittis, chitta vritti nirodha. The patterns of thinking or the waves of thoughts that we carry within ourselves. And it is, vrittis are a affirmed belief system that we have about ourselves. For example, how you explain your views about the world. You have views. Where did they come from? They are affected by the vrittis or patterns of thinking. Those are programming that is coming from your vasanas and from your samskaras and your karma. So it's coming from a deep place within that guides the pattern of thinking that we have. And it is also a place, vrittis are a place of justification. You have a pattern of thinking, but you justify those thoughts. And it's very beautiful. You're very able and capable of explaining why you do what you do. And it's coming from deep within. It's not something always that's borrowed. And the cool part of it is that the mind has an incredible function in this. It fortifies your belief system. It fortifies your position and your tendencies and your pattern of thinking. So you become solid that the way I'm thinking is the best and is the only way, and no one's thought and thinking patterns are better than mine. And that is what a vritti is. So vrittis are the most accessible to us because it is not so subtle. It is actually pretty evident when you talk with someone. You can see the patterns of thinking. You can see how they justify the way they think, and they explain their views on things. And you can also tell how they have done a lot of research and corroborated information that the mind engaged them in to fortify the patterns of thinking. So this is literally what happens to us in our lives, and how all this process is happening within us. And it's so beautiful. And this is what Arjuna is being taught by Krishna. Because once you have information given through the intelligence, then the intelligence can make the right decision. Intelligence, when the information is provided, the intelligence can give you right options and right proposals as to how to make the right decision and how to move forward. So this is, in a nutshell, I want to give you. Maybe I'll have to do one more class to give you a little bit more broader understanding of from karma to samskaras, to the vasanas, and to the vrittis. This is a chain. So now in the yoga text, we all yogis are known to study complex subject matters and understand where is the loose link in the chain. And the loose link in the chain, once you figure that out, then you are able to break free from this cycle. It's called the three gunas. Guna means the shackles, the chains, the three modes of material nature are chains that shackles us. We are a slave to our senses, to our vasanas, to our samskaras, to our vrittis, and to our mind. Those are shackles. And how to free ourselves from the shackles? And the loose link in the chain, according to the sages, is the vrittis. That's why Patanjali explains Chitta Vritti Nirodha. When you study yoga, he explains the vrittis, the patterns in your behavior, how to recognize the patterns in your thinking, how to recognize how you justify and explain your value system. Where does all of this come from? So as soon as we go through this process of identifying the vrittis, the patterns of our thinking, then we're able to break free from this chain. Otherwise, this chain is so tight. You think the handcuffs are tight? The chains are very tight. And it's us. No one has shackled you. We have shackled ourselves. That's the whole point. We have chosen, or unconsciously, subconsciously, and consciously chosen to shackle ourselves. And the sages are explaining to us, hey, why are you doing this to yourself? Check this out. Here is the way you can break yourself from these shackles. Just watch the patterns of your thoughts. in Buddhist philosophy, they speak a lot about observing the thoughts. But the yoga is saying, don't observe the thoughts. You should observe the pattern. Because the thoughts are just uncountable numbers of thoughts. They're going to come and go. But the pattern of thoughts is the unique part that we study in the yoga philosophy. The sages, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they're such scholarly writings. They explain all of this in such beautiful detail so that we can free ourselves from this chain. My time is up. And I didn't even ask Mahendra Prabhu, he's the saint from Bulgaria, to share some light on this. Please, do you all agree if we can go like maybe 5 minutes more? So we can get some more perspective on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, Erika, you have spoken. Mahendra Prabhu, please share with us.
Well, I'd rather ask a question and possibly to develop it in the next meeting. I thought, I mean, it's very interesting. First of all, thank you really for sharing this experience with the Kumbh Mela. I can just say one sentence that I was in Puri at the beginning of the month when it was also already started, the first part of the Kumbh Mela, and I asked the Mahant in the Tota Gopinath temple, who has just returned, I asked him, why did you go there? I was just curious, and he said, it's the only one reason. It's to get association of so many saintly people. This is the precious thing, and there are so many. And he was completely charged with that association being there. And what you shared was really very, very valuable and inspiring. And the service you did for everyone, reading and praying and crying and offering these gifts of love and prayers is just wonderful. The Shivaratri, I was in Guwahati in Assam, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a 5.3 earthquake.
Oh my gosh.
It was very interesting experience, but yeah, my stay there in Assam was really enlivening. I can tell you more later. But the topic, although you made it very short, I think the conclusion was very practical. We have to see the vrittis, observe what is in our immediate hands, so to say, the patterns of thoughts and behavior which follows our thinking. And if we can, as you say, cut or work on the weak link, nip it in the bud, before actually develops into something which becomes very difficult to work with, becoming a vasana or samskara, then we start from there in small steps. That's the process which Krishna describes gradually, shanai, step by step, the yogis work on that. But my question is what to do with things which are already really established, like unconscious patterns, unconscious habits, which really push you without thinking to act. How you work with these habits and how you form new habits. This is my question.
You are way ahead of me. Because that's the second part of the conclusion of this whole session that we provided was actually the roadmap that is given in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is a whole step-by-step on how to do this. It's unconscious. How do you even know how to access that? What can we access? So that's why they recommend start with the vrittis first. Vrittis will give you access to the vasanas, then possibly to the samskaras, then possibly to understanding the karma. And this is what intelligence allows us to do. It allows us to have access to the deepest part of ourselves. But Mahendra Prabhu, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, just so that you know, those who did not write me back or send me a hand emoji or a heart emoji, I just went through the whole group and I offered for you, give you a generic offering to the sacred mothers because I didn't hear back from you, but there are people who actually personally wrote me. He also messaged in the group. I really feel extremely honored that you have given me the service to pray on your behalf. It was really nice. And some people send it to me after the fact. So imagine I spent 12 hours of my time thinking and praying and trying to see how to serve you because I felt that you had given me that service. And I was extremely honored, extremely honored. I think Keshavi has something she wants to share.
Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't really listening to the call, but it sounds like what you were talking about was very Chitta Cleanse related based on the text I was getting. We are starting our next Chitta Cleanse group course on March 22nd, I believe. I just put the link in the chat for the information about the next group offering. And we do have an info session in 20 minutes if anybody wants to join that. And I just dropped the link for the info session there too. For this course, we are going to be taking applications because it is a very intense process and we want to make sure people are serious about it. So yeah, read the link and see if you're interested in joining us. Veda, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add is we were just talking about the vrittis, the patterns of thoughts. It's really giving you access to it. So Chitta Cleanse is very deep work, but it's your work. It's not mine. All I do is facilitate, and the others, we facilitate for you to journal, to find your own patterns. And it's so cool. You know, it's been my service for many years now to help people to find their vrittis, the patterns in their behaviors. And now that you have seen what you do, how you revert back to the same pattern time and again, and you just, because we just keep repeating ourselves. And it's so funny because, and you're wondering, why am I not getting this result or that result? Why am I still single? Why am I not married? Why am I, you know, whatever things we have, or why am I unhappy, you know? It helps to understand the vrittis, and this chitta cleanse is very intense work. I put Keshavi and Daksha Devi through the first process when I created this. And this was a big work of mine that I spent almost 27 years. And I am completely inspired by this great scholar named Bhakti Vinod Thakur, where he documents his emotional and spiritual journey. And he combined and beautifully weaves in his material emotions and how its material emotions were transferred to his and converted into his spiritual emotions. So for example, you know, anger and how to take that anger and make it beautiful. So everything that is what you may think is not so beautiful, you will see how beautiful it was. And then you'll laugh at yourself. It's like, really? I used to get angry for what? Really? I jumped on a career and spent 40 years of my life doing this because of this? So, you know, like you get to see yourself in a fascinating lens by yourself. And we are simply there to assist you. The work is hard. There's going to be an info session and you're welcome to join and we'll give you more details on it. But it's beautiful work, deep work. I know, Devi Radhika, you want to share something? You did it.
Wait, sorry. Can we actually table this for the info session? I'm sorry, because we only have 20 minutes before it. I
Okay.
just want to give people time. Sorry,
Okay.
if that's okay. Unless people want to hear it,
So
that we can stay on for 3 hours.
no, definitely need to. But info session is free and you can just hear about it. You don't have to sign up for it, but it is a commitment to yourself. If you're ready to commit to yourself, I make a commitment no matter where I am in the world, we are going to do this. And it's online. You are going to get mentors, so you're not going to be left alone with a bunch of questions. You're going to get mentors that will help you guide through it, because we have quite a few people that have actually gone. Maggie, for example, was someone that I just love the transformation I see in her. Maggie, you want to just say few words before we end this call?
Life changing, saved my life.
Can I use
Okay.
these as testimonials? I only have 2 up there now. Thank you.
I didn't finish. I'm on a pause, but I've been doing it, and yeah, it was completely transformative and really, really helpful. Highly recommend it. I can't say enough good things, especially in like trying to make myself not talk about it for an hour. But
Okay. Anyone else want to
Oh my
share? Okay. We'll leave it at this. Thank you
Okay,
all so
everybody has the link. I hope I can throw it into the groups if we don't have it. Laura, I see your questions. The Chitta Cleanse is worldwide available. It's not just for the US participants, so anybody can join. Okay.
Okay. So thank you all so much. And you all are invited. You all are invited to Chitta Cleanse.
Thank you, Nitai.
And hopefully you can also learn how to become Chitta Cleanse facilitators, which is going to be the next course that we'll offer. We'll teach you how to help others to become Chitta Cleanse masters. Thank you all so much, Mahendra Prabhu. Thank you for your presence. And each and every one of you, I'm just so happy. And Nadia is so happy to see you. And thank you all very much.
Everybody.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
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 Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you.